What is a supercar? Passion? Love? An irrational purchase your wife hates? No. Style. Mirror. Signal. Maneuver. A supercar is obsession. A supercar is fire. Breathe it in. What am I doing up here? Spinning on the spot for dramatic effect. How much does it cost? Biting on my sunglasses. Walk away. Stop. Pose for the camera. What is a supercar? Most things. Anything. Everything.
But there's more to life than expensive supercars, so welcome to a brand new series and say hello to my high mileage Skoda Octavia with 431,000 miles!
Right, you can get changed now.
Oh, thank God. So as you can see, here we have the glorious Octavia. I want to start with space very quickly. Look at the booty in this. It is big enough for many men and much activity. I'm not going to lock myself in. Oh, Jesus. No, I'm stuck. I don't like being in boots, so I'm just going to work my way out this way. Space is good. This is the only rear door that works. This is the only front door that works. This is the only window in the whole car that works. For a car that's covered 431,000 miles, the bodywork isn't actually too bad. Lacquer has peeled a little bit here, but don't worry about that. We've got a ding in the door mirror here, so that needs to be replaced. Front on, bit of rust. It wouldn't be my car without a bit of rust. Oh, and the grill here. I spoke to the previous owner. He went to a meeting, parked it in a Liverpudlian car park, came back and the grill was gone. So if you drive a Skoda, never park in Liverpool. This side we have a bit of faded paint, a couple of little scuffs here, but that'll buff out. Door doesn't work, window doesn't work, window doesn't work. Gonna get some new badges. The Octavia badge, a Skoda badge, we need to refresh all of that. And I think these are, or were, rear parking sensors. They don't work, but apart from that, the exterior at the moment looks like it's done 431,000 miles because it needs a really good clean. But I reckon once it is polished and looking nice, we could easily halve the mileage on that. So yeah, altogether, not a bad purchase. Now you guys know that I have a habit of buying excellent cars. We've got an MX-5 that had a little bit of rust, a Jaguar that we turned into an off-roader, a Honda Accord that I ran over with a tank, and now we have this, a 431,852 mile Skoda Octavia.
To put this amazing Octavia's mileage into perspective, it's already travelled 3.5 times the average mileage of a car that gets scrapped in the UK, has very nearly been to the moon and back, and has driven around the circumference of the Earth 17.3 times.
Now over the course of this series, we're going to be doing some experiments. We're going to find out what's a car with nearly 500,000 miles like to live with. Can it run on vegetable oil because it's an old diesel? We're also going to open up the cylinder head and we're going to find out what damage has been done to an engine after all these miles. We're also going to give it a bit of a spruce up, maybe a full restoration, I don't know yet, but we're going to treat her like a queen. Now speaking of him or her, we need to give this glorious machine a name. So if you wouldn't mind, scribble some names in the comments below and we'll have a look. The names that are most top voted we're then going to put in the poll for next week's video, and then this Octavia will be crowned with that winning name. It could be Consuela, it could be Dave, it could be Nigel.
Stacey.
You decide. Stacey, you're still obsessed with Stacey, aren't you? Doesn't matter if you hit the wheels on the side of the road or if you hit the car that's coming in the opposite direction. It's a glorious old shitbox, and I love glorious old shitbox. This is probably my greatest purchase to date. I paid £200 for this and everything works. Well, mechanically everything works. The door does not open. Only one window in this car works. We have air conditioning, that doesn't work. It's hot in here. The seat bolster here is torn. The seats are really uncomfortable. It feels like they're just made out of cardboard. It smells in here as well. However, the mechanicals are great. The engine feels nice and smooth. The turbo feels good. The brakes are there. The steering is old. It turns. It feels all right. Got the trip computer that works. All the lights work. The indicators work. The horn. Oh, I got twin tone. I didn't have twin tone before. Car's fixed itself. That's awesome. Well done you. It's grubby, but it's endearing. Now there are some amazing things about this car, and I got in contact with its previous owner, a guy who put around 300,000 miles on this car. He told me, and this is gonna blow your mind, original exhaust, original turbo, original shock absorbers, the cylinder head has never been opened. Now that means that this car has been serviced as it should, which goes to prove if you look after a car, if you service it regularly, if you give it good oil, filters, all the rest of it, a car can last forever. 431,000 miles and it still feels like it's going strong. The fact that I've been told that it's still on its original shocks is a bit of a worry, but I totally get it because the car is super wallowy, super spongy, and the bump stops are probably made out of dust now. But as an A to B car, it's awesome!
Looking back at this car's MOT history, the Octavia's had a colourful past, with regular failures, up to 14 advisories, and a persistent oil leak for the last 11 years. The last MOT in October 2017 reports fluctuating brakes, or warped discs to you and me, which explains why the car feels like a bit of a pig under braking. Also on the advisory list is play in the steering rack, which looks a bit like this.
Now there are loads of things that I really like about this car. One is that it's massive and you can use it as a van because on the interior it's really grubby, so I don't mind if I get mud and wood chippings and all the rest of it around. The second thing, this car, I was told by the previous owner, has got a chip on it, a chip on the ECU, which means that it's more economical and it's also freed up a little bit of power. Originally this had 90 horsepower, 95 horsepower. The previous owner told me it was jacked up to around 130. Not quite sure, maybe 110, but in terms of fuel economy, that apparently has improved a lot, or was improved, because the guy who used to own this used to drive from Oxford to Liverpool pretty much every single day, which is why in 2 years he put 110,000 miles on the clock. In terms of the fuel economy that I'm getting at the moment, the trip computer tells me that on a motorway, extra urban that is, I'm getting 79 mpg. No other car comes close to that, but that is what the trip computer is telling me. We're going to find out if that's true because we're going to do a proper economy test. You know, we're going to fill it up at the pumps, go for a drive and then fill it up and find out. I've never driven a car this economical. I've never driven a car with so many miles on the clock. And it just goes to prove that a car that's been serviced and looked after properly, it can pretty much run forever. There are a few rust spots that I want to address, but if the engine keeps on ticking over and if the turbo's happy, there is no reason why this car can't make 500, 600, 700,000 miles.
Russell, who owned this very Skoda for 14 years, also told me that it was the most reliable car he's ever had, so was relieved to hear that no, this one definitely won't get crushed by a tank.
People are always afraid of getting high mileage cars, but this goes to prove that if it's been looked after, you don't need to be scared. You can buy something with a long MOT that will treat you right, and this is doing the trick. I don't really mind that it smells and that everything in here is sticky. To me, this car is already like an old friend. I trust it implicitly. I know that it's going to start. I know that it's going to return around 70, 75 mpg on the motorway. And the eventual plan is not to crush it, not to kill it, but to restore it. I want all the plastics to be back to black. I want new tires, I want new wheels. I want to get the seat replaced. I want to give it a deep clean inside and out. And I just want to give it a new lease of life because this car has been to the moon and almost back. It deserves a bit of love. I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode. I'm now going to spend a few hours trying to figure out what that funky smell is, which reminds me, you can check out the Car Throttle shop right here. We've got air fresheners, which might be useful for me, and we've also got loads of merch. And also, make sure you subscribe to Car Throttle so you're up to date with every episode as it lands. Right here. Not there. Here.